Beatrice.
And I am Alfred, Ocansey.
The news is also live on Kesme 107.1 FM and across the world at 3news.com. You're also streaming live on 3FM 92.7 on Facebook. Coming up in the next 1.5 hours tonight, organised labour expects nothing less than the cancellation of Snit Hotel's sale as they meet President Akufo-Addo over the matter.
Also this evening here on Hot Edition, lawyers for Member of Parliament for the North Tongue constituency, Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, object to a newly constituted panel hearing a contempt case brought by Reverend Kusi Boateng, Secretary to the Board of Trustees of the National Cathedral, citing bias.
Later on the program, Tamale High Court orders Electoral Commission to produce the ballots and delegates album used during the January 27 NPP parliamentary primary in the Wale Wale constituency.
This evening also, a Convention People's Party is divided over whether or not to field a presidential candidate with barely 5 months to the December elections. We have details of that here on your election command center, the campaign trail. We'll keep an eye on how things are unfolding in the Convention People's Party CPP. We'll touch base with Parliament as well as the Free SHS bill conversation is gathering momentum in Parliament. We have details of that shortly here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also live on Kesme 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, and also on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. I am Alfred Ocansey.
My name is Beatrice. Thank you very much for joining us today. Let's bring you the details of the stories. And President Akufo-Addo at this moment is meeting a delegation from organised labour to listen to concerns about the planned sale of the Snit Hotels to Rock City Hotels Limited, owned by the Minister for Food and Agriculture, Brian Champon. Alfred, we are going to go into the details of these stories, but Lord Edwasare is here with us with a summary of the news.
Right, Alfred, so the summary of the stories. President Akufo-Addo has reassured Ghanaians and the international community that the country's economy is on a strong recovery path. At the presentation of credentials to 9 newly appointed diplomats at the Jubilee House, the president highlighted significant economic strides and the resilience shown by Ghanaians in overcoming recent global adversities. Also, the majority leader, Alexander Afenyo-Markin, has accused the minority in parliament of not wanting to commit itself to the free senior high school bill, which, when approved, will regulate the free SHS policy, which is currently in operation. Afenyo-Markin says the National Democratic Congress as a party is also opposed to the bill and has already communicated that through their ranking member on the Committee of Education, Peter Nochu Kotoi. Then there's also lawyers for North Tongue Member of Parliament, Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, who have objected to a newly constituted panel hearing a contempt case brought by Reverend Kusi Boateng, Secretary of the Board of Trustees of the National Cathedral. The Court of Appeal was expected to deliver a ruling on a defamation suit filed by Reverend Kusi Boateng aimed at restraining the Member of Parliament from discussing him in relation to the National Cathedral issue. We also look at the Global Fund Country Coordinating Mechanism in Ghana, which has confirmed that almost all the essential health commodities which were locked up at the port have been cleared as assured by the Health Minister Interim Chairman of the CCM Ghana, Ernest Orton Amoabeng, says there are checks at the Central Medical Stores at Spintex and the Imperial Health Sciences at Tema on Monday revealed most of the containers have been cleared. Some good news. And then there are fears colleges of education across the country could shut down as the strike by the teachers of the colleges nears 21 days. Per university statutes, tertiary institutions are to close down after 21 days of sustained strike, which renders academic activity redundant. While majority of students have made their way home, others who are still on campus say they fear for the fate of their academics. That's for the summaries. Alfred, Beatrice.
Thank you very much, Lord Oduasare. Let's bring you some more of what I was just telling you about that meeting between President Akufo-Addo and a delegation from Organized Labour about the sale of 60% stake of SNET in some 4 hotels to the Minister of Agriculture, Brian Champong. You would recall that Organized Labour has stated its position to the planned sale of 60% SNET stake in the Labadi Beach Hotel, La Palm Royal Beach Resort, Rich Royal Hotel and Elmina Beach Resort, citing lack of due diligence and due process, among other concerns. Now, last week, the Workers' Union joined Member of Parliament for North Tongue, Samuel Kudjata-Blakwa, to protest against the sale. Now, ahead of this evening's meeting with the President, the leadership of Organized Labour consulted among themselves with a view to delivering a simple message to the President: stop the sale now.
Well, I think this meeting with the President, in the first place, on my own opinion, is very compromising. Because we've called for this meeting more than 2 months now. And so the President is asking our leadership to meet them. I think workers have been taken for granted for a very long time. And it's good time we are expecting that achievement. It's of that proposal of selling the hotels to the minister.
If your president should say, okay, then let's have a negotiation, discuss and review, is something you consider?
It's just a no-no. It's like it's a curse to be a Ghanaian worker. You suffer low salaries. You go on pension too. Your pension is one of the worst pensions. People go to pension now and they go to die. First, we used to have something called lump sum. Now there's no lump sum. We have tier 2. The funds are not even released to our farm managers for investment. Then the little that is there, that will be paying our pensions. And pensions is what? Is it a crime for one to work all his life and go on retirement? Then you go on pension, the economic crisis, inflationary rates, erodes a pensioner 500 Ghana cedis. I mean, take 500 for breakfast. And so how can you expect a pensioner to buy his medications, to visit and live with 500 Ghana cedis, less than $50 a month? This is not good.
For me in person, this meeting with the President is actually not a meeting that deem it so necessary. We need to meet the President, rather look at the way forward, for example, for our base pay, which we are yet to start negotiating, the general conditions of labor in the country, the skyrocketing issues, and the need for the President to give us some kind of cooler. These things are even more important than these hotels. For the hotels, Organized Labour, we have taken our decision. Our decision is that we do not support the sale of the hotels. And so it is. So it is. If Senate, as an organization that holds pensioners' pension money, wants to do something and we say no, I do not really see how the President even comes in. To me, the President is just too high a body to come into such a matter that I see it to be trivial. This matter is just too trivial for the office of the President. The Minister for Labour is more than enough to deal with this matter. It's trivial. They want to sell an asset that belongs to pensions. And the people that the pension belongs to them says no. We have as much as 4 reps on the board and we says no. We have met them and we have said no, they shouldn't do it. When they met us, they told us that nothing has been sold yet and that they have not approved anything yet. So we asked them to hold on. It shouldn't be sold, and that is it.
We expect that you put a halt to the sale of the hotels. We need to know why we are selling it, if it's viable or not viable. It belongs to workers, so we need to know whatever that goes in before, if a decision of that magnitude can be taken, then we need to be consulted before approval can be given on the sale of that viable or not viable hotel that belongs to workers. So we want the government to put a halt to it, have a proper consultation with the stakeholders for us all to be in the same wavelength, whether to sell or not to sell. Thank you.
And you heard a representative of organised labour speaking to us earlier about this meeting with the president that we understand is still currently ongoing. Daniel Opoko is our labour affairs correspondent. He joins us live on the line. Daniel, I know you've been there since morning monitoring events for us. Can you give us updates as regards, for instance, where this meeting is taking place and what you've been able to pick up so far?
Right, so good evening to you, Beatrice. Now, the meeting is taking place at the Jubilee House, as the president called them to the meeting this afternoon. So currently, the leadership of organized labor are those who are making the president, not the entire labor, organized labor group as a body, but the leadership. When I talk about the leadership of organized labor, I'm talking about the Secretary General of the Trade Union Congress, Dr. Yaban, and also talking about the Executive Secretary, the Chairman of the Forum, Mr. Isaac Bampuado, and some members who are currently the board members who serve on the board of SNAIT and also members of organized labor. They are those. The General Secretary of the Ghana National Association of Teachers, now Mr. Thomas Tanko, they are the leadership of organized labor who are currently in the meeting with the president.
Remind us again how crucial this very meeting is, because we just heard a representative telling us even ahead of this meeting
right.
that just stopped the sales.
This is a very crucial meeting to the extent that one look at the concerns organized labor has raised. You realize that it is not only about the SNAIT matter that organized labor is talking about. Organized labor is also concerned about the current economic conditions, that's number two. And they are also revisiting the issue of the Sonon Asogli. If you could recall, some 3 unionized members of Sonon Asogli were dismissed because they wanted to form a union. And all these issues are playing out currently as I speak to you. And part of the concerns that they are tabling that before the president, for the president to be able to address. And one key cardinal point for the concern of organized labor is the fact that they are of the view that if government or the president is able to convene a meeting to discuss tonight, then obviously the president should be in the capacity to get them up to speed as to the concerns with regard to resolving the problems with the Sonon Asogli staff who have been asked to go home as a
Do we know how long this meeting will travel?
Right. So when we look at the concerns again, one major concern has to do with restructuring of Senate. And based on the issues that they have tabled before the president, it's likely to travel beyond an hour or two. So currently they are in the meeting, but usually when you go to meet the president, you may have to wait. So, but my understanding is that they are currently in the meeting with the president, and the next, I think, an hour or two, they should be done with the president. Hopefully there will be a consensus. Then a decision will be taken. What they want the president to do is to ask or suspend the sale agreement to Mr. Brian example. Anything apart from that, that will be difficult. So the president should be in the position to convince them enough as to how these things will be conducted.
Thank you very much, Labour Affairs correspondent Daniel Opoko. And Alfred, indeed, we look forward to hearing the outcome of this very meeting, the stance of the presidency, and we already do know that of organised labour.
Certainly. And if you recall, some of the Kujato Blackwan and indeed members of the organised labour have been consistent that the position going into this meeting would be a no sale. But hearing some of them talk about now wanting to know so they can take a decision whether or not to support the sale.
Kind of
it gives you an idea of something that might be happening. But yes, we'll see how things play out. But talking about Samuel Kujatua Blakwa, the former national chair of the NPP, Freddie Wasmeo-Blay, is suing the Northtown Member of Parliament, Samuel Kujatua Blakwa, over claims that his family had claimed a beachfront belonging to the Labaji Beach Hotel. Now, the Polo Beach Front, that Polo Beach Club, which belongs to Kwao Blay. Kwao Blay is one of the sons of Freddie Blay, has been operationalizing or operating since 2019 in partnership with the Labaji Beach Hotel. That's what we do know now. Until both entities went their separate ways in 2021. Due to a disagreement between them. Now, Freddie Blay is saying that the Member of Parliament has dragged the name of his family, the Blay family, in the mud, hence the shoot later this week. Take a listen to him.
So clearly, you have some issue with the panel. Can you tell us?
Well, so we'll hear that shortly and exactly what is going to be happening with respect to this particular decision that Freddie Blay has taken. I know you've been talking to him, Beatrice, and already giving indication of the extent of involvement of his son in all of this. What is
basically, I mean, if you're referring to the latest one we did from him, he's talking about the fact that when SSNIT decided it wanted to sell 60% of his stake, there were some companies that came up, and he mentioned 12, I recall, and his son's company, that's Spartan Ace, was one of the companies that was interested in buying the 60% stake in these 4 hotels that we've mentioned just in the course of this program. And he said the company offered up to between $150 million to $200 million. Unfortunately, if I'm quoting him there, SSNIT decided to give it to another company. And as we do have it now, we know that that's Rock City Hotel, Brian Champon, who is said to have offered, is he about $60 million for the 60% stake in these hotels. So that's where we have it. And then dismissing reports that the fact that his son showed an interest doesn't make it a politician's kind of bidding, because his son is not a politician. He's related to a politician, but he's not a politician.
Well, let's take a listen to exactly what he told you about his son's involvement in this whole transaction and how things are playing out.
Am I answering questions for my son, who is over 30? It's about 33, 34. He's a grown-up, involved in business. I don't answer questions for him. But that apart, my son, if you care to know, is not just involved in hotels. He's involved in the tourism industry. He has no ownership. He doesn't relate to the SSNIT's ownership of the hotels. SSNIT offered to sell several hotels. He wanted a package. My son's company, Spartan, applied alongside about 12 or so companies. He offered to buy it for over 150 to 200 million with a syndicate of banks supporting him and a well-branded hotel chain, which he offered. Of course, SSNIT decided that he would rather not give it to my son's company and give it to another company. We are not crying.
Who is also a politician.
But it's not a question of a politician, it's a company. I'm not talking about a politician. If a politician owns shares in the company, it doesn't make the company a politician's company.
So, Mr. Blake,
let me finish. My son is not a politician. Spartan, he has shares in Spartan. I, as a politician, I'm not a director. I don't own anything. The only relationship he has with a politician is the father. He was born.
But Mr.
A father
Blake, you see,
who is a politician.
That's the point I was making earlier, that in this part of the world, when you're connected to a politician, there are a lot of advantages. So
what is the advantage are you talking about? And let's discuss it. Advantages because the name is Blay. Advantages because the name is Nkrumah. Advantages because the name is JJ Rollins.
Not necessarily.
Then what are you talking about?
But also, I'm asking whether you're denying the facts or the documents that have been put out that are apparently there was a partnership, and then eventually it's like the partner was booted out.
Let's move from. Please, no, I won't let you land. I won't let you land. I want us to focus this discussion,
so I'm just
because I believe you have very limited time.
Well, so that's Freddie Blay there in that conversation with my colleague Beatrice, and that this conversation, this part of it has generated a lot of engagement with some of you, obviously livid about the position and the explanation that Freddie Blay gave on social media, and keep the conversation going. Right now, we're streaming on 3FM 927 on Facebook. A number of your comments in there, we'll get into it. But still staying with Samuel Kujeto Ablakwa this time around in the court.
Indeed, and he has objected, and his lawyers have objected to a newly constituted panel hearing a contempt case brought by Reverend Kwesi Boateng, Secretary to the Board of Trustees of the National Cathedral, citing bias. Reverend Kwesi Boateng is seeking an appeal of a High Court decision in his defamation suit against the North Tong MP, whom he cited for contempt, but was dismissed by the court. Now, following the arguments, the court adjourned the hearing to Wednesday, to decide on the objection to the panel by lawyers for Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa over concerns of bias. Lord Adwasare is a man who was in court for us. He's still in the studio with us. Lord, just walk us through what happened in Parliament today and really on what grounds Samuel Okudzeto lawyers are raising the objection we're hearing about.
Right, so like you rightly mentioned, Reverend Kusi Watson, otherwise known as Kwabena Edu Jemfi, two names, one person. He's in court because he filed a case at the High Court restraining the Member of Parliament for Norton from talking about him regarding the National Cathedral. And the High Court dismissed this contempt case against Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa. So he was in court today for the appeal. Now, before lawyers for Ablakwa, led by Thaddeus Sori, would raise a motion to dismiss this appeal by Reverend Kusi Boateng, he noted that the panel of justices that had been constituted, he wasn't comfortable with it because prior to the case which had been called, there was a different judge that was chairing it, right? So the appeals court judge, they are made up of 3 judges. And he also indicated that last week he read in a newspaper that the presiding judge in this case had been ordered by the Chief Justice to hand over the docket of the National Cathedral to a different judge. And so when he came to court today and then realized that the panel had indeed been reconstituted such that Justice Jamefe was no longer chairing it, it gave credence to that newspaper report that he had read. And so he indicated that that cannot be the case, and if they go along that trajectory, it will not inure to a fair hearing for his client, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa. And he also indicated that he was also not comfortable because this person that has brought the case to the courts, Reverend Kusi Boateng, is the pastor and spiritual father of the Chief Justice. Now, this is the connection here. Thaddeus Sori makes the case that the present presiding judge, Justice Pamela Koranting, is also the Judicial Secretary. And we know that the Judicial Secretary works closely with the Chief Justice. And so he was positing that as far as he's concerned, where there's a case that a party has brought a case to the courts and is being presided over by a judge that, in this case, the Chief Justice has affinity to, referring to the Kusi Boateng, it's not proper and would affect the case. And so on those grounds, he would want the panel to be reconstituted. And that was why he was objecting the panel that had been reconstituted. Now, at this point, lawyer for Kusi Boateng, Reverend Kusi Boateng, Bobby Banson, indicated that the allegations or assertions citing the newspaper reports and whatnot were merely speculations which cannot be admitted as evidence, because who then constituted that panel of justices that Thaddeus Sori was referring to before it was changed for this new panel to sit and then hear the case? So he was essentially asking the court to not even entertain any such thoughts raised by Thaddeus Sori. As I listened to arguments, the panel of justices decided that they're going to set tomorrow to decide whether the objections raised by Thaddeus Sori has anything to it before they will even consider the substantive case, which has to do with the appeal filed by Reverend Kusi Boateng as far as Okudzeto-Ablakwa's case is concerned.
So let me just ask you this question before you go. If you do know, we heard Bobby Banson, like you're saying, saying that the newspaper report or whatever cannot be admitted as evidence. We've seen the Attorney General, Richard Jakpa case, where even WhatsApp messages have been admitted into evidence. Listening to the proceedings or sitting through it, did it sound like we probably were going to see a similar thing?
It'll be difficult to tell at this point because the justices are now going to consider all that, and they'll consider this if they'll have to give credence to it, because if they're going to add up the relationship as has been cited by Thaddeus Sori, if there's anything which can actually be substantiated and relied on, then they would decide that, okay, if is anything which is heavy enough, they would have to recuse themselves for another panel to be reconstituted, and then we'll hear the case.
Thank you so much, Lord Eduasare, bringing us the latest from the Accra High Court today. And Alfred, we still stay at the court because there's something happening in Tamale, am I right?
Yes, and for that, let's hear from Samuel Okuye-Toblakwa exactly with respect to what happened today and why this is of great importance and what Lord Eduasare has shared with us.
So clearly, you have some issue with the panel. Can you tell us what exactly your issues are?
Well, you've heard my lawyers in court today. I will prefer not to speak. Fortunately, the court will deliver its decision tomorrow. And 24 hours is not a long wait. So I would rather that we wait for the court's decision, and then we will speak to all of what we know and have discovered so far as this appeal is concerned. So if you will grant me that wish.
In all of this, always you are present in court, the other party is absent in court. Do we know any?
We continue to demonstrate our respect for the courts and our judges. That's all we'll say for now.
Okay, all right.
So that's Samuel Okuye-Toblakwa there. Let's still stay a bit further in the courts. It's some 28 minutes after 5 here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're live on Kesme 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, and also on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. Now, the High Court in Tamale has granted a motion filed by the Member of Parliament for the Walewale constituency, Hajia Lariba Zuera, seeking an order on the Electoral Commission to produce in court the ballot box containing the votes cast and the register used in the January 27 NPP parliamentary primaries of the Walewale constituency. The court, in granting the motion, directed the Electoral Commission to submit the delegates list and the ballot cast to the registry of the court by close of work tomorrow, June 26. On Monday, the court asked Dr. Abdul Kabiru Tia Mahama not to hold himself as a parliamentary candidate for the upcoming general elections on the ticket of the NPP in the Walewale constituency, pending the determination of a suit challenging his election during the NPP primaries in January. Now, let's cross over to the region now shortly. Christopher Marco is Northern and Savannah regional correspondent, is joining us for a conversation on this. Chris, appreciate your time. First of all, let's yesterday you were in court. The development was that Dr. Kabiru Tia Mahama should not hold himself as a parliamentary candidate. Today, what we're hearing is that there's a motion that has been granted, filed by the Member of Parliament. Let us more into it. What exactly happened?
Yes, so Alfred, the Tamale High Court has also today ordered the Walewale constituency EC to submit to the court all ballot boxes that contain the ballot papers that were used for the January 27 parliamentary primary in the Walewale constituency, and also all the materials, that is the register, the voters register that was also used for the election. This motion was granted today by the court because the plaintiff, lawyer for the plaintiff, Hajia Zuera Lariba, had filed a motion that they wanted the court, they prayed the court to order for a recount of the ballot papers in court.
I see, and this is a very peculiar situation for the MPP, is it not? Because this is the constituency of Dr. Mahmoud Bamia, the flag bearer, and Dr. Tia Mahama is, from what we do know, an assistant, a special assistant to the vice president. He is an economic advisor, and then the current member of parliament who's in court is also the sister of the vice president, correct?
Yes, correct. That is exactly the case. And that is why the Council of Elders chairman for the Walewale constituency is calling on the vice president to take keen interest in this matter and settle it once and for all, because it does appear that the MPP front is disunited as it stands now, for want of a better word, because supporters of the parliamentary candidates okay, for now, the court has indicated that he should not carry himself as such, but supporters of Dr. Kabiru and Haja Lariba, anywhere they meet at any given opportunity, they want to fight. The recent one was that there was one such incident on a radio station, where some MPP supporters of Haja Lariba were attacked by supporters of Dr. Kabiru. And so this has been in the constituency and it's raising some level of tension within the MPP front.
I see. And has there been any attempt so far by the party after these attacks that you talk about involving the supporters of both persons? Has there been any intervention so far?
So, Alfred, you know that on March 27, the MPP as a party, NEC, National Executive Committee, delegated some executives to go to the Tamale High Court to, as it were, pray the court to take the matter out of court for settlement. Unfortunately, as it stands now, from March 27 till now, nothing much has been done about it because even meeting these two aggrieved individuals has been a challenge, and so the situation has become something that even the Walwali constituency executives are unable to address or talk about. So it is actually eating hard on the party front. Executives are unable to talk about it. Party constituency elders are unable to talk about it. Regional executives are unable to talk about it. So it's become a norm for now that any given opportunity, when they meet, they pick up a fight.
That's quite troubling, to say the least. And Chris, appreciate you. And can you hold on a bit for me? Dr. Besuglo Alidu Bukari is a senior lecturer at the Department of Political Science at the University of Development Studies, UDS. Let's cross over there. And Dr. appreciate your time. Dr. Alidu Bukari, can you hear me? Good evening to you.
Good evening, Mr. Ocansey. I can hear you very well.
And
good evening to your listeners.
Great. Thank you so much for agreeing to talk to us. I mean, you are in the area. You've been following this quite closely. Is it surprising for you that, just as Chris is saying, the party executives in the constituency are unable to even intervene to bring a truce to this tension between the current member of parliament, who is the sister of the vice president, and the person who was declared winner of the primaries, who is also the economic advisor at the vice president's office? Does it surprise you that till now the party has not been able to do anything?
Thank you very much for the question, and good evening once again to your listeners. I'm not surprised. This has not been resolved, and it's unfortunate. It has traveled this far. But critics have said that there are some underhands in this matter. I believe, maybe we may even speculate for now, not I believe, that some powerful brokers within the party wanted the advisor to the vice president to have this seat. And that has created a whole lot of problems since then, and significantly backbenchers and then rebellions over the issue for some time now.
I see. Now, but some have indicated that this is likely to, and it's indeed, as we're seeing now, affecting the cohesion within the constituency for the MPP ahead of the elections. But then again,
very good. Yes.
Would you have expected, for instance, the vice president to have stepped into this matter, especially because of the direct links of these two persons to him?
Exactly. I was just coming there. It's very dicey issue putting vice president in this light, because I'm told the incumbent is the sister, and then we have Kabiru, Dr. Kabiru, of course, who is also in his office. So in this case, is he going to support Kabiru, or he will be, supporting the sister? Of course, I think to your earlier question, it has a very, MPP in the constituency find themselves in a very difficult situation, particularly given the volatility of the electorate and the ever-changing nature of political landscape. It is incredibly difficult to make certain, pronouncement, of course, as concerning the issue that is ongoing there. For example, it has to do with the voter population. And for the voter population, many of them particularly don't identify themselves with political parties per se, but for them, votes are up for grabs. And so they are looking at certain development, and one of the development has to do with party unity. Of course, if the party is not united, you go into election with a divided front. But if you are united, you go to election and fight it together. So looking at what is happening just 5 months to election, I would have wished the MPP, this should have been behind them, and then now they fight the opposition into 7th December 2024 election. Otherwise, the issue has created backbench, rebellions over, one side from Kabiru and the other from the lady. And that is not a good development for the MPP. But as for the voter population, as you said, Mr. Ocansey, for them, they are up, votes are up for them to grab. And they are considering certain development. And then one of the issues has to do with party unity. So if you are looking for votes from these voters who are not actually identified, most of them, of course, are not identified themselves with the MPP or NDC. They are just looking at the party that has a very united front, present concrete, cogent policies that will approximate their aspiration for them to vote, and you are now fighting among themselves. So they will have the alternative to switch even those supporters or voters that are attached to the party. The incumbent party, of course, may switch to the other parties or independent candidates. That is how I see the issue for now. But the earlier the NPP work on the issue, the better for them come December 7, 2024.
But your diagnosis of the texture of the constituents there is where I want to zoom in, because you say that based on your analysis, the constituents in the Wale Wale constituency are more floating voters than voters who have made up their minds. Why is that? And what research points to that? Because this is the home constituency of the vice president. And so if you look at the previous elections, the MPP has won that constituency quite handsomely.
Exactly. So for the past 4 years, and especially coming this last 2 or 3 years, a whole lot of dynamics have played out in the constituency, I must say. People are considering, let me just also, contextualize this discussion within the basket of, voter choices, where people are looking at what has happened in the past, that's performance. People are also looking at prospectively what the party is presenting to them. And of course, personality, of course, and then the party unity that we are just discussing. So these are the issues, the dynamics in the area, and they are also considering the past executives of the opposition party, and they are seeing the united front in the constituency as the alternative. And so that is the danger. I think what the MPP is now facing in the constituency currently. The incumbent, the then NDC candidate they're seen as very credible, who is very united, and he is able to lead his people into that election. So the incumbent MPP MP, and then the candidate now, they are fighting among themselves. So people are now switching their loyalty towards the alternative, which is the NDC.
I see, and I'm looking at the electoral results. It points to, at least gives some credence to what you have just talked about, indeed. Because, for instance, in 2020, even though this is the home region of Dr. Mahmoud Obamia,
the vice president,
Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo polled 53.26% of the votes cast. That's about 32,972. John Mahama followed closely with 28,061. Exactly. That's just about some 4,500 votes difference between them. Yes. And then when you look at 2016, it was just about 5,000 difference. So comparatively, you see that reduction in the votes. Yes, so it's
that's correct. And so based on these statistics, the conclusion is that the voters currently in Wale Wale are just yearning for an alternative. So they are not to go for people who are fighting themselves and all that. I think from some few in the interview we conducted there across the length and breadth of the constituency, many of them seem to suggest that the NDC candidate is for them present an alternative. That's by having His Excellency Nana Bamia as a sitting vice president, particularly because they thought what happened in the primaries was just uncalled for, and they think there's a whole lot of underhands behind it and try to cheat the woman, and so to get Kabiru advantage, which they think it is not the best. They should have given them the opportunity to choose who they think should represent them come 7 December 2024.
Doc, appreciate your time. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Dr. Besuglo Alidu Bukari is a senior lecturer at the Department of Political Science at the University of Development Studies, UDS, and in Tamale, joining us there. And so one thing that we'll keep an eye on and see how things play out here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We'll have on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, and also on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. Let's get into some CTAC issues, right?
Yes, and it's been 11 days since the Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana, CTAC, went on strike following the government's delay in implementing the agreed arbitral award and negotiated service. Remember that the National Labour Commission is set to head to court on June 26th, that's just tomorrow, in its bid to ensure the government complies with the arbitral award. But with the strike still ongoing, students on campus say they fear for their academics, and we'll bring you some more on that. But again, Alfred, you also do know that today there was good news coming from the port, because we understand that the Global Fund is demanding a review of the procurement of health consumables in the wake of the delayed clearance of critical donor medical supplies. This follows the confirmation from the country coordinating mechanism of the Global Fund in Ghana that almost all the essential health commodities locked up at the port, Tema Port, for months have been cleared. The Minister of Health on June 13 assured that the commodities worth $40 million and meant for the management of HIV, TB and malaria will be cleared in 2 weeks. Checks at the central medical stores at Spintex and the Imperial Health Sciences at Tema by officials of the country coordinating mechanism of the Global Fund in Ghana on Monday revealed most of the containers had been cleared except for logistic challenges for storage. We can hear the interim chairman of the CCM Ghana, Ernest Amwabing.
Based on our visits, our fact-finding visits to the temporary central medical stores and then IHS, that's Imperial Health Sciences, we can confirm that technically speaking, the 2 weeks deadline of the minister has been met. The only challenge now is that the transportation of the containers from the ports to the warehouses is what is causing a bit of a delay. And this is because the temporary central medical stores, which is receiving all the bed nets, can do a maximum of 16 containers a day. In fact, according to them, their normal routine is to do 8 containers a day. But because of the emergency with the situation we find ourselves, they are now doing up to 16 containers a day, and that's the maximum they can go. So the containers have been cleared at the port, but then the transportation and offloading at the warehouse is what is causing the delay and what will cause 2 extra weeks a delay. So the assurance they have given us is that all things remaining equal, by the end of the first week of July, all the commodities would have been cleared. So yes, technically speaking, the minister's timeline has been met, but now the logistics in terms of carting them from the port to the warehouse is where there is a little challenge. I can confirm that based on the records that IHS showed us, they have distributed all the health commodities that they received, the detonate injections, the TB medicines, everything has been dispatched to the various health facilities across the country.
Well, the commodities are almost cleared, but the effects of the delay, Alfred, certainly go on beyond the patient. The Executive Secretary of the Stop TB Partnership Program, David Kesiafre, says Global Fund is requesting a review of the procurement system in Ghana.
Indeed, we know that this thing has hit even the Global Fund and has hit the program of the Global Fund in the country. And so, as we speak, as chairman of the COVID-19 committee and the Sustainable System for Health grants, I am aware that the Global Fund even is calling for a review of the whole procurement system, a review of even the implementation arrangements, which has been hampered by some of these delays in procurement and supplies. And so our hope is that there will be a concerted effort between the Ministry of Health, the Ghana Health Services, the CCM and the civil society to ensure that we have a clear plan to prevent this, that it never happens again in the country.
You heard the Executive Secretary of the Stop TB Partnership Program, David Kesiafre.
It's live here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. Also on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. We'll go into some of your messages shortly and how things are playing out. But let's go to Parliament today, because there are a number of things, Beatrice, including the demands for the accountability of the amounts of money spent on the All-African Games that ended just about 2 months ago. The minority is demanding for an accounting of monies expended at the just ended All-African Games. Government has insisted that the games which won Ghana some medals has been successful despite negative publicity that it is suffered. And you know, some of the athletes who won the medals are yet to receive their bonuses. Kamala Kluche is a parliamentary affairs correspondent. He's connecting with us on the telephone for a conversation on this. Kamala, what more do we know about this demand by the minority?
Well, right, even before the minorities' demand, the sports minister, Mustafa Yusuf, had been giving a statement to the House on the...
I have gone through
the All-Africa Games. He makes the point that, yes, government has invested quite a lot in infrastructure, despite the slow pace and all that they were able to meet the deadline. They have been able to even win a lot of laurels just because of the preparation that Ghana has had. He makes the point also that despite the negative publicity by nemesis, the various athletes have been able to really show how resilient they are and also how prepared they were. I mean, this was
mention of how much this country has spent on the games.
The minister should have admitted the failures and all that, but largely they have been asking for accounts. Samuel Kujito Blackwa, we do know he had for want of a better word, intercepted some leaked documents on the amount of money that government was spending on the Africa Games, despite the minister's inability to give the public how much the state was expending on the Africa Games. And so Samuel Kujito Ablakwa and the minority leader, Dr. Kesela Tufosen, they forcefully made the point that there has to be a proper account of the monies that have been expended, because what the House approved for them, they have spent far in excess of that. But the majority has equally been firing back. The former majority leader, Osechi Mensah-Bonsu, and the current majority leader, Alexander Penny-Martin, said the call by the minority is needless. And this is what they had to say on the floor of Parliament.
I have gone through the entire 15-page statement that the Honourable Minister has presented. There is no mention of how much this country has spent on the games. What is the Honourable Minister concealing from this House? What is he hiding? Why can't we be told? Already we have raised concerns about the huge expenditure way beyond what this House approved. Mr. Speaker, we know for sure that $50 million US was allocated to a company called M&L Company Limited for 18 days of feeding. So, Speaker, that amounts to 226 million Ghana cedis for 18 days. You cannot come here, deliver a statement without accounting for that $15 million for 18 days.
Speaker, this is public accounts. This is public accounts. It's not for nothing that Article 187 of the Constitution provides that accounting for the usage of public funds should require some period. And indeed, it is 6 months after the expiry of the financial year. They have finished their work. Instead of commending, Mr. Speaker, instead of commending the minister for a good job done, you rather want to use the opportunity to critique and say things that are not factual.
Well, come on. So that's what you have there, and this ended with the majority leader Alexander Penyo-Markin, and they are asking for a certain period for the accounting that the minority is asking for. Correct?
Well, I mean, these they have asked for, but it doesn't appear that it would be given to them. It's basically a report that they have done, but the majority leader specifically was even saying that if there's any accounting that has to be done, well, it only has to be done when there's an audit, and so it can only be after audit that that response will be. The speaker did not give any directive whatsoever on this, except to allow the statement to go through and then be contributed. So, I mean, essentially, this is what the minority has been saying with respect to the All Africa Games.
I appreciate your time on this, and I know before you go, maybe quickly, the free SHS bill was also an issue in Parliament today. Why is the majority now raising questions about the minority's commitment to this bill?
Well, it is one subject that the majority leader has been drumming home. He has been pushing and acting on the stance of the minority on the free SHS bill. It must be put into context that there's nothing before the House as we speak. He intimated last week that the bill or the supposed bill has had the presidential approval, but as I speak with you now, there's nothing before the House. The minority has been he's really been launching a lot of attack on the minority action, their stance on this, but also says that the engagements that they have had, the minority has not shown any interest. He's not giving any proof of that, except to say that they should state the position they have publicly. But in speaking with the minority chief whip, Kwame Govins-Abuja, he says, and this, I'm quoting him verbatim on the messages that he sent to us. He said that people are concerned about the cost of living, corruption, bad infrastructure, state capture, nepotism, and abuse of power. Let it be stated that the NDC will support any legislation or effort aimed at making the free SHS program better and sustainable. We are solidly behind the plans of our flag bearer, John Mahama, to have the free SHS reviewed properly and also include the private schools. The NDC government is credited for free education anchored in the 1992 Constitution. He went on to say that there are many things that the NDC minority in this House has done, which the current majority should compliment them for. He finally concluded that, of course, the state of our education is a concern for all Ghanaians. Low model of teachers, lack of investment, schools under trees, back, spending millions on past questions. It is a priority for the next government to fix the bad state of education in the country. And so this is the position that the minority has. It means that they are not against the bill and they have an end. I must say that this is the second time that the minority is taking their position on this, despite the calls by the majority leader that the minority is not showing any concern whatsoever before this. So it must be stated, underlined, that there's nothing before the House as of yet in terms of the free SHS bill.
Komla, appreciate your time on this comprehensive detail. Thank you so much. Komla Kluche is our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent joining us here on Hot Edition. Now some 3 minutes to the top of the hour. There's a lot more coming up on Campaign Trail.
Yes, we do. We'll be bringing you more from the CPP as well as some other issues on the burner. And Michael Ogbodu is standing by with the latest in business. And we'll be bringing that very shortly as well. Don't go away.
Everyone is running to Bills. Enjoy the peace of mind that comes with acquiring any of our loan facilities. For whoever you are and whatever you're doing, Bills has a product for you. No susu, no deposit. All you need is your Ghana card. Call 0302-200-390 or 0596-928-33 today and live a bill-free life. Bills Microcredit is licensed by the Bank of Ghana. Bills, financing your needs. Terms and conditions apply.
And before Michael Ogbodu comes in, for 15 years, Quick Credit has been your trusted partner in micro-lending, empowering lives and making dreams a reality. Today, we're excited to announce a new age. Quick Credit is now Bill's microcredit, still committed to serving Ghanaians and changing lives. Bills is here to show you that everything is possible. Join us as we celebrate, as we embrace a brighter future. Bills, financing your needs.
Well, hello there, good evening, and welcome to the business segment on Hot Edition. Coming up tonight, as Ghana inches closer to debt relief, economists calls for setting aside a fund to honor future debt obligations. I am Michael Ogbodu. I'll bring you these and more shortly. Please stay. Well, thank you for your time. Straight into our top story. An economist and political risk analyst, Dr. Theo Champong, is urging government to set aside a fund to honor its future debt obligations to bondholders. His comment comes on the back of Finance Minister Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam's announcement that government has almost successfully completed a $13 billion external debt restructuring. According to Dr. Champong, although this is welcoming news, there's the need for government to ensure check and balances.
The other proposals on the table, not necessarily as part of this debt deal, but for example, that we should have a fund or re-establish the sinking fund so we have regular payments being there to service our debt obligations as and when they fall due. I also think, for example, the attempt to re-establish the Fiscal Council and also to resource Parliament with the capacity to effectively scrutinize the borrowings and the loans that we're contracting and the effect that it has on our debt going forward. And even something as simple as, that no new government projects will be committed to until you actually have done a rigorous fiscal impact analysis of that. These things going forward will be some of the checks and balances that we need to ensure that we don't go back to where we were a few years ago.
So that was economist and political analyst Dr. Theo Champong speaking there. Now, with Ghana's unemployment rate hovering at 19.7% and 50% underemployment, the National Development Planning Commission, NDPC, and the Alliance for Green Revolution are leading a sectoral engagement to create more job opportunities for the youth. The idea of the multi-sectoral coordination platform is to influence the youth policy ecosystem to impact inclusive and work opportunities in the agriculture and adjacent sectors for the financially disadvantaged youth. Country Director of AGRA, Dr. Betty Annan, said the lack of coordination among the various sectors is hindering efforts at creating more jobs.
AGRA is partnering with the MasterCard Foundation to implement the Youth Entrepreneurship for Future of Agriculture. We call it the YEFA program, to complement ongoing efforts by government and other sectors to address the unemployment menace in Ghana. The YEFA program, particularly for Ghana, focuses on enhancing an enabling environment for increased productivity of value chain actors in agriculture and adjacent sectors.
So that was Country Director of AGRA, Dr. Betty Annan, speaking there. Meanwhile, the National Development Planning Commission says the setting up of a steering committee will address the challenges of youth unemployment by promoting youth involvement in agriculture. Stephen Ampem-Dakon is the principal planning analyst at NDPC.
And as a coordinator, the role NDPC is playing in this AGRA project is to make sure that all agencies who are involved in implementing the youth unemployment activity or some activity that will lead to the reduced unemployment is for us to do. It becomes difficult when certain institutions try to drive their agenda, and each institution may have various activities that they are playing.
So that was Principal Planning Analyst of the National Development Planning Commission, NDPC, Stephen Ampem-Dakon, speaking there. Now, away from that, the Director of Maritime Services, the Ghana Maritime Authority, Nana Boakye Boampong, says the authority is working to assist different tertiary institutions to undertake seafaring training to promote job creation. He says the seafaring sector has the opportunity to bolster the country's economy through remittances with the right training and investments. He made these remarks during the celebration of the International Day of the Seafarer under the theme Safety Tips at Sea.
The authority has started the preparations to assist some of these universities to undertake the seafaring training. Mind you, the seafaring job is very lucrative, and it bolsters the economies of some countries. If you look at the Philippine economy, which Philippines contributes about 20% of seafarers in the world, and annually seafarers remit about $6 billion to Philippines. We are looking to replicate that, so we are also going to open the maritime education. We would work with the institutions that are ready and willing to invest to ensure that they get the appropriate equipment, so that we open it up and get a lot more Ghanaians to take up seafaring as a profession.
So that was the Director of the Ghana Maritime Authority, Nana Boakye Boampong, there, ending the business segment here on Hot Edition. For more business stories, please check out our website, 3news.com/business. I am Michael Obodu. Thank you for listening. As always, please stay safe. And up next, the sports. Bill is on standby.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the sports segment here on the 3FM Hot Edition. My name is Billy Shen. Let's start off from athletics now. Abdul Rashid Saminu has made it to the semi-finals of the 200-meter event at the African Athletics Championships. Now, he topped his heat with a time of 20.88 seconds. Saminu earlier won a gold medal with the 4x100-meter relay team on Monday, and he's also already qualified to the Olympic Games in the 200-meter event. Also in the women's division, Mary Boakye has made it to the semi-finals as well. And so both competitors would look to advance further and get gold medals for Ghana. In other stories, the National Sports Authority has come out to refute reports that the Baltimore Sports Complex is now used for church activities. The complex was one of the venues that was used for the 2023 African Games. And here is the statement from the National Sports Authority there. They were saying that as the venue manager was present at the facility and noticed a church banner in the hall, the explanation provided was that the church facilitated the trip of some students from the SRC of the University of Ghana, hence the presence of the banners. It is important to note that there were many Muslim students in attendance, some of whom were wearing a hijab. It is therefore surprising and unfortunate that stories have emerged suggesting that the facility was handed out for a church program. And so that is a statement from the National Sports Authority. Now, moving on to other stories. After missing a chunk of the 2023-24 season due to injury, Tariq Lamptey is ready to make an impact for Brighton and Hove Albion next season under the guidance of a new coach. Oreko Ampofo had a chat with him and filed this report. Tariq Lamptey's development as a promising young talent has been greatly influenced by his time working under Roberto De Zerbi at Brighton and Hove Albion. The Italian tactician, known for his attacking and possession-based philosophy, took over the Seagulls midway through the 2022-23 season and immediately recognized Lamptey's unique skill set.
Yeah, it was an amazing coach. Tactically, he makes you look at football from a different point of view. And yeah, I'm grateful to have had different coaches to learn from, because as a player, that's what you learn from your experiences, and you try and add as much to your game as possible. And the way he saw the game was different, and we played some fantastic football. So I really enjoyed my time under him.
Under De Zerbi's tutelage, the versatile defender flourished, thriving in Brighton's wing-back system that demanded equal commitment to attacking and defensive responsibilities. The coach's meticulous approach to positional play and tactical flexibility perfectly complemented Lamptey's ability to excel in multiple roles across the backline and midfield, allowing him to showcase his pace, dribbling ability, and intelligent movement.
I've always played in different positions, so right from the youth upwards to the first team, I've played on the left, on the right, in the middle, so like wherever I'm put to do a job and to help the team, I know I have a lot of different attributes that can help. So whenever I'm on the pitch, I'm just focused on the job ahead and what the manager says to me, and bringing the best out to make sure the team get the result.
After an injury-disrupted 2023-24 season, in which Lamptey missed a staggering 31 games across all competitions, he's hungrier than ever to make his mark in the upcoming campaign.
After a small break, I'm going to be focused on getting back out there, playing as much games as possible next season, making sure that I reach my goals and obviously help the team on a team level, but personally have a good season for both club and country.
With the prospects of having a full pre-season under his belt and working under a new coach, all the ingredients are in place for the versatile defender to fight for his place and showcase his abilities week in, week out. That was a report there on Tariq Lamptey preparing for the next season with Brighton and Hove Albion under a new manager. Now let's move on to Euro 2024. Kylian Mbappe scored his first ever goal at the Euros as France drew 1-1 with Poland. Robert Lewandowski scored the goal for Poland, and also Austria managed to defeat the Netherlands and earn their qualification to the round of 16 in the Euros. Now here are the standings for Group D. Austria are on top. They finished top of the group with 6 points. France finished second with 5 points. Netherlands third with 4 points, and Poland last and away from the competition with 1 point. And so Austria, France and Netherlands have all qualified to the round of 16 of the European Championships. Later tonight, Denmark will be facing Serbia and England will be facing Slovenia. And ahead of the game between England and Slovenia, Declan Rice mentioned that he's happy to play the number 6 or the number 8 role for Gareth Southgate's side. According to the Arsenal midfielder, it's the manager's decision, and he will always go out there and give 100% no matter what.
Well, I only actually moved into the 8 position after Christmas. I played my first 6-7 months as a number 6 under Mikel. And my first ever discussions with him were for me to go to Arsenal and play as a number 6. That's where he sees me as my best position. But I think as we started to train more, play more, he liked me in the 8 role as well. It also gave us a little bit more balance when Georgie played. So that I can play both. I'm happy to play 8, I'm happy to play 6. You know, for England, majority, I've always played number 6 and I've loved every single minute of it. But obviously, this is the manager's decision. Whatever he sees, you know, I'll always go out there and give 100% no matter what.
That was Declan Rice there, midfielder for England. Now, here are the lineups for the game between England and Slovenia. Jordan Pickford is in goal for England. Kyle Walker, John Stones, McGahey, and Kieran Trippier in defence. In midfield, we have Conor Gallagher, Declan Rice, Bukayo Saka, Jude Bellingham, and Phil Foden. In attack, we have Harry Kane. And for Slovenia, we have Oblak in goal, Janza, Bijol, Grusic, and Kranicic in defense. We have Mlaka, Elsnik, and Sojanovic and Gneza in midfield. We have Šeško and Spora in attack. That is for Slovenia. Now looking at the other game, that is between Denmark and Serbia. Here are the lineups for you. Schmeichel is in goal for Denmark. Andersen, Christensen, and Vestergaard are the defenders. In midfield, we have Bar, Helmand, Højbjerg, and Mele, and Eriksson. And in attack, we have Højlund partnering Wind. For Serbia's team, we have Rajkovic in goal. We have Pavlovic, Milenkovic, and Velkovic in defense. We have Zivkovic, Gudel, Ilic, and Mijalovic in midfield. In attack, we have Lukic, Samacic, and Mitrovic. And that is the lineup for Serbia as well. That brings an end to the sports segment here on the 3FM Hot Edition. My name is Billy Shen, and of course, Beatrice is on standby with more.
Thank you very much, Billy Shan, for bringing us the latest in sport. For general election swing into full gear, most political parties are rolling out their plans to jostle power from the governing NPP, but not the Convention People's Party. The CPP appears to be divided over whether it will field a presidential candidate or not. While the communications director of the party is reported to have said that there are no intentions to present a flag bearer in the 2024 polls, there seems to be another person saying another thing. We're joined by Nana Akosua Sapong Kumankuma, who is the chairperson of the CPP. She joins us live on the phone and will be speaking to... All right, so we rather do have on the line with us Mr. Samson Soprano. He is the Director of Communications for the CPP. Good evening to you, sir. If you can hear us, thank you very much for joining us.
Hey, I appreciate you. And actually, my name is Sylvester Sapon Soprano. So it's not Samson.
Sylvester Sapon Soprano, thank you very much for your time. Good evening to you. You're the Director of Communications for the CPP.
Yes, ma'am, I am.
So you're saying that the party is not fielding any flag bearer for the 2024 general election? Is that what you're saying?
No, I never said that anywhere. Actually, what I indicated is that, the party needs to sit up, and that with the election just around the corner, and without having a candidate at the moment, that we stand a real chance of potentially not presenting a candidate unless we do something, necessary. We get, to the drawing board as soon as possible and do what we need to do to be able to present the flag.
I'm sorry, sir, your line is breaking. If it is possible to reposition yourself so we can have a clearer conversation.
Okay, I can hear you loud and clear. Can you hear me?
Yes, it's just that it keeps breaking. Would you kindly continue with what you were saying earlier?
Sure. So what I'm saying is that our party has not been this.
And we'll try and correct that line and get back to Sylvester Sapon Soprano, who is the communications director for the CPP. You're still here on Campaign Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We'll be reconnecting with Sylvester Sapon Soprano, who is the director of communications for the CPP. But ahead of that, okay, I'm told he's back on the line with us. Hello, Mr. Sapon Soprano. I hope the line is better this time around.
I've always had a great line. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, it's better. Thank you so much. Please continue with your point.
Sure. So what I'm saying here is that, we need to put this in perspective. What I'm saying here is that our party has not nominated a flag bearer yet. And with the election less than 6 months away, the party stands a real chance of not, producing or providing a flag bearer if we do not sit up. Now, I want to remind listeners about the fact that the Convention People's Party, our predecessor party in 1979, the People's National Party, nominated Dr. Hilal Liman, 3 months to the election, 3 months to the election. And we went ahead and campaigned to, elect Dr. Hilal Liman as President of the Republic of Ghana.
But Mr. Sapon Soprano, you do understand the dynamics are way, way different now in 2024.
Well, I don't understand. We are still the same people. I want to believe that, the spirit of the nation, remains intact, regardless of the generation that is running affairs.
But we don't have to ignore the facts and reality. You have MPP and NDC dominating our current politics.
So what's your point?
The point is that if you say that Hilal Iman was elected 3 months to an election and he won, I'm trying to say that it may not necessarily be the case going into this year's election.
But in that case, it may necessarily be the case. You would agree that if you say it may not, that it might be the case. Would you agree to that?
Please carry on with your point.
Because if it might, yes, thank you for allowing me to make my point. I'm saying that we have the, pedigree of winning elections in 3 months. That cannot be, forgotten. For instance, we do usually on track record. Yeah, so Ghana Black Stars is going to be the summer. They look at the statistics in its past. You need to know where, in order to know where you are going. If people from the ground where you to win elections, I'm saying that based on history, we are capable and we have the pedigree to be able to win an election in 6 months. So it is not all lost, but we're standing on grounds. It is important that the party looks sharp, of the party, especially the leadership, so that we can be able to produce a flag bearer to salvage Ghana from the catastrophic President Akufo-Addo and his twin brother President John Mahama, who are the potential if the CPP is not present. So this is coming from the face of the wilderness, calling on you to look sharp, that this is the predicament of the party right now. Now, one of the reasons why this is happening in the CPP right now is the phenomena we have of what I call recalcitrant septuagenarians and octogenarians in our party who are impeding every effort of the chairman and leader. So that, for instance, right now, we have a so-called independent committee without any foundation in authority. It's just a usurping entity that is trying to, block us from our activities. The independent so-called independent committee, Congress under Patrick Sogbojo, is one of the reasons why the party might not be able to, come up with a presidential candidate, for the election in 20.
So, Mr. Sapon Soprano, are you not emphasizing my point in the long run? Because currently, if I hear you, if I understand what you're saying, you even have internal issues. You haven't resolved them yet.
Which have internal issues? Show me one family or one organization or one relationship that is problem-free. A problem in their house. Yeah, the last time in 2016, President Akufo-Addo, when he was, you went to remove Afoko and Kwabena Japan. They went there with machetes and rocket-propelled grenades and militarized Tomahawk cruise missiles, amongst other items. So, which family is that? Show me. I mean, in your relationship, aren't there frictions? So, please, that is not a point. What I'm saying is that we have problems, but that doesn't mean we cannot surmount them. Most important thing is recognizing that you have them. If you don't sit up, analyze the party, they'll be able to present a candidate. The key word is May.
Forgive me, our lines are not helping us, but let me ask you one last question about whether or not you have an idea who you're presenting as your flag bearer for the 2024 elections.
Well, it's an open contest, so it's not a question of we presenting somebody as much as members of the party in good standing vying for the position so that the best person is presented. So we don't have a candidate A or candidate B. We have a slate of highly qualified people who might come up and contest. And then the best of them will be presented to the electorate so that we can have an alternative to the catastrophic President Akufo-Addo and his twin brother, President John Mahama.
We'll have to end it here. Thank you very much. Sylvester Sapon Soprano, a very confident Director of Communications for the CPP, who thinks the party can win this year's general election. Thank you for speaking to us. From the CPP, we go to Alan Kwejo-Tremanting, and he's the leader of the Movement for Change. He's promised to run a lean government comprising 40 ministers as part of an array of solutions to dealing with the country's current challenges. During the Great Transformational Plan, a manifesto for his movement, the former trade minister promised to abolish a number of taxes on the country's imports. Listen. We couldn't bring you that sound of Alan Kwejo-Tremanting. We'll bring you that later. But thank you for joining us on Campaign Trail. That'll be it for Campaign Trail.